Just after Dong-hu took Plateau's satellite phone, Zhang Yi received the message as soon as he was in the room. Because this thing has been tampered with by Yang Xinxin, it can not only monitor but also track and locate. Zhang Xi is looking forward to the next direction more and more. After all, he killed the superpower user of the two bases himself. There's no way they're going to keep quiet about this. Even if the other party can reconcile with him, that must have happened after the fight. Thinking of this, Zhang Yi arrived at the control room immediately. He desperately wants to know Yang Xinxin's opinion now. After all, this quirky girl has the most ideas. However, at this time, Yang Xinxin was fishing in the control room. Seeing her own affairs come to light, she immediately closed the little movie. Then she said to her boss with a well-behaved appearance, and then she stopped talking. Xinxin is not lazy. People are just bored to pass the time. Zhang Yi didn't take this matter to heart. The only thing he's interested in right now is the satellite phone he gave to Xinxin a few days ago. Did you get any useful information from it? However, Yang Xinxin informed him that those satellite phones don't have any value. I couldn't find any useful information at all to determine the identity of Plateau. Zhang Yi obviously commented after learning of the situation. He would never have thought the person who killed himself turned out to be the eldest cousin of the leader of Yang Sheng base. At this moment, Zhang Yi was extremely helpless. He especially wanted to complain about Plateau, the eldest cousin of one of their leaders, but there is no useful information at all. I had to get stuck in a swamp. Didn't this put me in dire straits? At this moment, Yang Xinxin smiled faintly. Boss, don't worry too much. Because the other party is just a cousin, maybe their relationship is not as good as we thought. There's another thing. I found Yang Sheng and Zhao Yu's home contact is more frequent, but there is no accurate source of information. So when will this information be available? Once this is true, we are very likely to receive 2 joint attacks on a major base. After all, this cake in Xishan base is now something everyone wants to take a bite of. Hearing this, Zhang Yi sighed, and then showed an indifferent attitude. In fact, he had long been mentally prepared for this situation. That's why he's so calm. Since the destruction of Xishan base, Zhang Yi's fear of those big organizations has disappeared. He just wants to rest now. If others don't hit on him, he won't care. If someone has bad intentions, he doesn't mind history repeating itself. Zhang Yi knows that those people are rebel leaders, and there is no large attack device in hand. They are even less likely to be like Xishan base and get the support of Doc. Zhang Yi knew in his heart those guys should be holding a gun. Even in his heart, he was looking forward to having a fight with the other party. Because only by convincing them and making them feel the site of Xishan district is already dominated by him. If anyone wants to die, they must think thrice before acting. If this gets around, he believes their days ahead should be peaceful. Unless the other person is very confident, otherwise no one will come back to die. At this time, Yang Xinxin looked at Zhang Yi with admiration. Boss, they said something about the Bake Shoe cult. Although it has nothing to do with us, let me tell you, this is what I found from Sheng base. All bases are not favorable to Bake Shoe cult. Several times they even wanted to take action to eliminate this Baishu cult, but they haven't decided because there is no benefit. Zhang Yi, who chose to do it, thought for a while and asked rhetorically, according to you, if we are attacked by the enemy, is it possible to consider seeking the assistance of Baishu cult? Yang Xinxin blinked her big eyes. It's hard to say, but if we could have one more helper, it's better than one more enemy. Zhang Yi shook his head. You are still too young. Some unidentified helpers may be even scarier than the enemy, but this is an opportunity for me. If they are useful, I wouldn't mind squeezing them for a point. 2.5 hours ago, Dong-hu returned to Sheng base. He needed to hurry back because he had learned from the students that they smelled a strange breath, so he had to inform Xiao Honglian as soon as possible. Just as Dong-hu arrived at the base, there were 1,000 ways to pry open these students' secrets. At this time, Xiao Honglian did not know that Dong-hu had returned. She was still in the office analyzing plans and files from the destroyed base. Right at this moment, there was a thump-thump from the door of the office. She saw that the person who came was Dong-hu. Xiao Honglian put down the document in her hand. How did the mission go this time? Did you find any useful information? We found Plateau's phone in Sujiazhen village. The phone no longer works, but dozens of students were also arrested. They are from Tianjin University. The most important thing is that they had contact with Zhang Yi. Simultaneously, we also discovered a giant building at Sujiazhen village. There is an ice wall tens of meters high with a very solid defense. But in order not to alarm the snake, I didn't choose to go deep. Xiao Honglian frowned. She could now roughly confirm that this incident had absolutely nothing to do with a guy named Zhang Yi. Where did you place those students? Because the stakes are high, the outcome of the trial will decide directly if you will launch an attack on Zhang Yi. So, you must interrogate them, Dong-hu responded, as if he knew what Xiao Honglian would say. Everyone has been arranged for trial by me. The interrogation room is on standby and the leader can interrogate at any time. The students in the meantime were filled with regret. Why didn't we listen to Liang Yue in the first place? We should have found a cellar and hidden, but it's too late to say anything now. We can only wait for our fate. Not long after, Xiao Honglian, Donghu, and others arrived. Their eyes were dark and cold. Obviously, this time, if they didn't get the information they wanted, they would never give up. Donghu introduced one of them as the artificial power user of Zishan base, but that person was in a coma. I feel this person should be useful to us, so I sent him to the medical room first. Hearing this, Xiao Honglian suddenly became interested and praised Donghu for doing a good job. Because of this body modification technology, she was already envious. So, we must keep him for our research. Then Xiao Honglian found a chair and sat in front of the students. Originally, she was thinking about the threat again to get the information she wanted. However, Wu Chengyu didn't give her a chance to show it at all, and directly expressed that as long as the other party wanted to know something, he would say everything. The other students came to their senses immediately. What dignity and benefits? They weren't as important as their own lives. Due to too much fear, Xiao Honglian had not even started asking questions, and they were already talking, saying all the information they knew. Seeing the situation, Xiao Honglian's heart was filled with a little more disgust. She knew people like this could not access Zhang Yi's core intelligence. She pulled out Plateau's satellite phone, thinking, you can learn as much as you can from them. Who can tell me why this satellite phone is with you? However, the students didn't know. If Donghu hadn't dug it out from under the floor, they wouldn't even know this phone existed. This statement obviously made Xiao Honglian furious. She fixed her eyes on the students, her facial expressions getting uglier and uglier. Fortunately at this time, Wu Chengyu shouted loudly, this thing was left by Zhang Yi. That's what saved them. He didn't care what the problem was now. Everything was blamed on Zhang Yi and Liang Yue. Just push it on them. I'm just a helpless student. Let the more capable person take the responsibility. However, when Xiao Honglian heard this, the murderous look on her face began to spread. Killing Plateau was equivalent to declaring war on Yangsheng base. Therefore, she must make Zhang Yi pay the price. Otherwise, the majesty within the base would be compromised. But when asked how many people Zhang Yi had in total, the students shook their heads at each other. It wasn't that they didn't want to say, they truly didn't know. Even Wu Chengyu's brain was in a state of starvation. Seeing this, Zhuge Qingting said, with only this information, it is difficult to accurately determine Zhang Yi's strength. Xiao Honglian certainly understood this. Limited intelligence wasn't enough to start a war, but she was determined to fight this battle. I'm going to order the execution of these useless students. As soon as this sentence came out, the students were all scared. To survive once again, they chose to betray their good luck. It was just now that Xiao Honglian saw the students desperate for their lives. A mocking smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She turned around and ordered her subordinates, light them up first. Let them think about their role again. If they really can't think of it, kill them all. However, Zhuge Qingting had a different view. He always felt that these students should be given a try. Even if Zhang Yi and Liang Yue don't care, they should still threaten Zhang Yi because, in his opinion, these students have no ability to survive the apocalypse at all. If no one takes care of them, he couldn't imagine how these people would survive. So he inferred that the words of these students were not unreasonable. As possible, as they say. Xiao Honglian looked at him in surprise because she really didn't expect her own advisor to think that way. Yes, he naively thought that this garbage would threaten Zhang Yi. She started taunting him with a face full of disdain. Everyone in the world is in danger today. If you were asked to exchange this garbage, would you change it? So your statement is unrealistic at all, and you stare at the money with your eyes wide open. To say something bad, these people aren't even eligible to serve us as slaves. I don't believe anyone would be that stupid. Really, like you said, that man must be a lunatic. However, Zhuge Qingting lowered his head and smiled. I know there are some things you can't understand, but there's one thing you need to understand. Not all women are as wise as you. According to my speculation, Zhang Yi's decisive character, allowing students to live in the sanctuary, must have something to do with their teacher. After listening to Zhuge Qingting's explanation, Xiao Honglian couldn't help but fall into deep thought, because in her opinion, Zhuge Qingting's words seemed to have a little truth. Therefore, combining the above information, Xiao Honglian found it not difficult to guess that Liang Yue is very likely to be a holy mom. If she could take advantage of this, maybe she could find a breakthrough. After understanding this, she immediately instructed Zhuge Qingting to contact Zhang Yi and gave the students all the explosive collars arranged to go up. On the other side, Zhang Yi and the others were enjoying breakfast leisurely at home. At this time, Liang Yue was planning to send food to the students. Seeing this, Zhang Yi asked Liang Yue a few words with concern. This sudden tenderness made her little face flush. She didn't even dare to look at Zhang Yi because she knew there must be some jealousy in his eyes. Liang Yue couldn't figure out herself now. Did she develop feelings for Zhang Yi? However, at this moment, Zhang Yi was thinking of another thing. He wondered what Liang Yue would do if she found that the students had disappeared. In fact, Zhang Yi knew better than anyone else that Liang Yue couldn't possibly give up those students. He also wanted to see where Liang Yue's bottom line was. So Zhang Yi only asked Liang Yue not to give him too much trouble. If she was really out of his control, then he had no choice but to ask Liang Yue to leave this shelter. At the same time, Liang Yue brought food to Sujiejen village all the way. She didn't notice anything different from before, but the moment she opened the door, a bad premonition instantly came to her mind. She looked at the empty room, feeling that something had happened. Because she knew them so well, she couldn't believe they had gone out fishing en masse. Liang Yue could only think of one result. These students were robbed by people from other organizations. Liang Yue searched every corner of Sujiejen village but found nothing. However, she noticed something strange that she didn't understand. Why weren't the villagers of Sujiejen village kidnapped? Instead, all her students disappeared. Thinking of this, she could no longer suppress her worries. She turned around and ran to the shelter because she knew the only hope now was Zhang Yi. Only he could help her solve this mystery. A moment later, she returned to the shelter, out of breath. She looked anxious, instantly catching everyone's attention. Then she told Zhang Yi the whole story. She said she had searched all over Sujiejen village, and there was no doubt that the children were missing. Everyone was shocked by this. They didn't care much about the students, just worried about the shelter being in crisis again. Liang Yue then expressed her speculation. She deeply suspected that other forces had reached the Xishan district and that it was all done on purpose. After listening to Liang Yue's explanation, Zhang Yi instantly turned into an actor, pretending to be confused and asked, "Did you have any enemies before? Otherwise, why are those villagers fine?" Liang Yue was very confused at this time. She didn't know why this was happening. Because in addition to teaching at Tianqing, I haven't been anywhere else, not to mention revenge. Zhang Yi comforted her, saying, "Don't worry about this. The more anxious you are, the more chaotic it will be. Just calm down, and we can analyze the best way. Let's investigate the shelter first. Look around and see if you have seen any suspicious people recently. If there are any, we can follow the clues." Then Zhang Yi directly turned on the monitor, clearly to show Liang Yue that he had nothing to do with the student's disappearance. As time passed, the display on the monitor showed that everything was normal. Liang Yue was somewhat relieved. At least her worst fear didn't come true. However, Zhang Yi said with a serious face, "Now we're in trouble. There is no useful information on the monitoring. Now we're completely passive. Although there are still 4 major bases in Tianhai City, we cannot rule out other small forces. But since they deliberately kidnapped your students, that means these people are asking for something. We'll just have to wait and see what happens next," Zhang Yi continued. Several beautiful women in the family also expressed their praise. After all, they still didn't know the strength of the other party. If they took rash actions, it was very likely to fall into the enemy's trap. So now it was the best choice to respond to changes without changing. Then Zhang Yi patiently explained the powerful relationships to Liang Yue. His enlightenment made Liang Yue feel a lot better, at least not as anxious anymore, but she still couldn't figure it out. "I didn't offend anyone. Why target me?" Zhang Yi said, "There are many reasons for this, but one thing is for sure. This concerns you. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense at all, but you don't have to worry too much. I think those students should be safe now. Let's wait for the news." Just now that Zhang Yi grasped Liang Yue's palm. This unexpected sight left her trembling. When she looked up, he said affectionately, "Don't you worry. I will be by your side anytime and anywhere. After all, I promise to take care of those students with you. As long as there is news, I will never die." Liang Yue was moved after hearing this. She blushed and hesitantly said, listen to you." Zhang Yi looked sad, but a smile blossomed because he knew better than anyone that even if the people from the Yangsheng base didn't kill them, they would still die of food poisoning. After all, they had been eating the fierce material under Zhang Yi for days. Then Zhang Yi was just with Lu Karen and Yang Xinshin, accompanying Liang Yue. The 2 girls intensely pulled the teacher directly and went to the room. After seeing Liang Yue leave, Zhou Ke immediately came to Zhang Yi's side. She asked with a worried face, "Are external forces coming to attack us again?" Zhang Yi nodded without hesitation and admitted it. Yangsha complained, "Why are these people so bad? We just had a few good days. Why are you fighting again?" Hearing this, Zhang Yi smiled carelessly. "Ms. Yangsha, that's where you got it wrong. It's not that they disrupt our lives. It's the way we go to war in exchange for peace." However, Zhang Yi was still more worried at this time. Hugging the girls, he said, "After all, we have to deal with 2 forces. It's absolutely not as simple as imagined, but I can't control so much now. If you want peace, you have to make choices and sacrifices. Although it's a little troublesome, I am bound to make a name for myself in Tianhai City so that no one dares to attack us." Zhou Ke asked with some worry, "Aren't you worried about Liang Yue doing this?" Zhang Yi was a little confused when asked, "What am I worried about? Although I admire her, if she can't overcome her heart and continues like this, then I can only let her go. If necessary, I will personally take action to solve this hidden danger. I don't get emotional with anyone easily because once you have feelings, people become soft-hearted and hesitant." At night, Zhang Yi called Xu Chunlei and Uncle Vu over and told them to be ready for battle at all times. Xu Chunlei sighed after hearing it. "It's really annoying. Can't these people stop for a while?" Zhang Yi just smiled coldly. "Impossible. There will always be people who want higher rights. Do you think everyone else is as free as we are? From a safety standpoint, only by eradicating all threats around you can you sit back and relax." After listening, the two nodded in agreement because they had already experienced that feeling. Whether it was in Uelu community or Sujiajin village, it's an indelible memory. Speaking of which, Zhang Yi reassured the two, saying, "Everything is under my control. Let them not worry. As long as the enemy sees our power and understands I'm not an easy bone to chew on, they will never dare to attack us again." Uncle Vu laughed after hearing it. "It just so happens that my whole body is itchy these days. I can just go out and move my muscles and bones." Shu Chunlei sighed helplessly, but also accepted this reality. "So far, I have to bite the bullet." At this moment, suddenly, there was a loud sound from outside. Obviously, it was the sound of a car engine. Several people immediately got up from the sofa, and their eyes suddenly became sharp. "There's someone coming, and it's a car!" Then Zhang Yi ran to the windowsill on the second floor. He wanted to see who it was. "How dare you break in so blatantly? It's really deadly!" Soon, several people came to the balcony. They followed the source of the sound. Sure enough, a few hundred meters away, they found a modified car. To Zhang Yi's surprise, why was there only one? Is it a messenger? It was just now that Zhang Yi, in space, pulled out a sight gun, looking at Shu Chunlei. Both nervous and excited, he really wanted to try this big toy too. However, Zhang Yi said, "We should focus on the enemy." He opened the scope and found that there were only two people in the car. From their posture, it seemed that they had no intention of staying. As they passed by the shelter, suddenly a soldier pulled a gun out of the car. Then there was a swoosha-clad piercing arrow followed, plunging into the wall of the shelter. The arrow had a red tag on its tail. Seeing them leave, Zhang Yi's mouth curled into a sneer. "Here is where you can come if you want. Is it a place to go if you want?" After Chen, Zhang Yi fired a shot at the tire of the car. Precision shooting made his bullets look like they had GPS installed. No matter how they spiraled, they couldn't escape the pursuit of his bullet. If there is no accident in the next second, it will definitely not be an accident. Obviously, the enemy's driving skills were not good as the car spiraled in place. While Zhang Yi was shooting, he jumped off the second floor, following closely behind his Uncle Vu. Shu Chunlei was stunned, wondering what these two were going to do. However, at the moment Zhang Yi landed, the power of space slowly emerged beneath his feet, letting him fall firmly like a feather. At this time, the car at Yangsheng base had overturned. One soldier was trapped in the car while the other tried to rescue him. However, upon seeing a giant cat approaching, he decisively gave up on his teammate and ran away. The soldier trapped under the car was unaware of what happened, but upon seeing his teammate run away regardless of him, he really wanted to swear. But how could Zhang Yi give him this opportunity? "Since you are here, there is no reason not to stay for dinner." Then came a gunshot, but Zhang Yi did not kill. He just shot the soldier in the calf. After all, he needed to figure out the origin and purpose of the two hard-to-find information. With a scream, the soldier who was running away fell down. He knew it was over and feared he was doomed. Another soldier tried to fight back with a gun drawn, but Uncle Vu controlled him. At this time, Zhang Yi was very confused because these two were obviously not metahumans. He couldn't guess what they were doing, sending these two little boys to die. But the next second, something unexpected happened to Zhang Yi. The corners of their mouths moved slightly, and instantly, a large mouthful of blood flowed from the corner of their mouths. Zhang Yi frowned. These people are not afraid of death, he thought. Uncle Vu checked the matter. They had hidden poison in their mouths. It seemed that they had fully prepared themselves, fearing information leakage. Zhang Yi took a helpless breath. These guys were smart. They must have known he wouldn't let them go no matter what. But in this case, he still didn't know their purpose. However, at this moment, Shu Chunlei happily held up the handle. Just now, he ran over and shouted, "Boss, look! This is what they left behind!" Zhang Yi saw it and his pupils turned fierce. He immediately yelled, "Silly! Don't come to me again!" Being scolded by Zhang Yi made Shu Chunlei understand something instantly. He just wanted to take credit. Zhang Yi said, "What if this is a trap?" Under Zhang Yi's command, Shu Chunlei slowly released the dangerous arrow, almost scared enough to wet his pants. In this era, where human life is like grass, the enemy won't care if you live or die. Zhang Yi also used his superpowers, believing the arrow might be planted with microbombs. To be safe, he created a separate space and absorbed the arrow into it. Upon closer inspection, he found something resembling a letter at the tail of the arrow. Despite not finding anything special, Zhang Yi didn't dare to be careless. He activated another ability to wrap himself up and planned to take the arrow back for K'er to study, checking first if it was poisoned. Zhang Yi glanced at Shu Chunlei and said, "Throw your gloves. If the arrow has a problem, your life could end here." Shu Chunlei, not being stupid, had already planned to throw away the gloves before Zhang Yi spoke. After hearing Zhang Yi, he threw his gloves far away. Zhang Wei returned to the laboratory with his findings. Upon locating Zhou K'er, he asked her to check if the arrow was dangerous. After Zhou K'er gave the test results, she teased him for being overly cautious. Since they chose arrows, they wouldn't use such despicable methods, she said. Zhang Yi remained calm, responding, "Being careful makes you less dangerous. When you're most relaxed is when enemies want to kill you the most." Uncle Vu agreed with Zhang Yi, noting that battlefield changes are unpredictable and not paying attention could be fatal. Zhou K'er, although thinking they were too careful, put on gloves cautiously, acknowledging that professionals should handle professional tasks. She concocted a drug in the lab and dropped the potion on the arrow. Soon everyone was scared into a cold sweat as the arrow's color changed significantly, revealing it was indeed poisoned. Shu Chunlei was the most afraid, worried that touching the arrow would have killed him. Others were more composed, knowing that Zhang Yi's caution was justified. Zhou Qi'er covered the arrow with a red cloth, accidentally discovering some text on it. She informed Zhang Yi, who, along with others, gathered to see the cloth. The text was a string of codes that none of them understood. Zhang Yi called Yang Xinxian, who recognized the characters as an address linked to the Yangsheng base. Zhang Yi cautiously asked if it was safe to contact them. Yang Xinxian, confident, reassured him it was safe with her around. Liang Yue then interrupted, suspecting these might be the people who kidnapped her students. Zhang Yi, choosing not to conceal any longer, confirmed her suspicions. Liang Yue, anxious, urged to contact them quickly to understand their intentions. Zhang Yi theorized that the other party wanted to negotiate and test his strength, achieving multiple goals. He decided to take this opportunity to perform in front of Liang Yue and squeeze the last bit of value out of those students. Zhang Yi immediately told Miss Liang, "Let's talk to them now, at least see who the other party is." Liang Yue, touched by his commitment to rescuing the students, listened as Zhang Yi pointed out the gravity of the situation. He asked her to only monitor and not show too much concern for the students, to avoid giving the other party leverage. Liang Wei pondered briefly, then nodded firmly, agreeing to follow his request. Soon, everyone gathered in the living room. Yang Xinxian opened her laptop and performed a few simple operations to make contact. Then she put the computer in front of Zhang Yi and gave him a look that said, "You can tease as much as you like. There is no way the other party can hack into our system." Just then, a woman's voice came from the computer. "You really kept me waiting. It seems that you are Zhang Yi?" Zhang Yi's expression was cold. "Looks like you've already investigated me. Let's not speak in riddles. Which base are you carrying?" Xiao Honglian did not hide. She said she was in charge of the Yangsheng district, but in the next second, her tone became colder. "The subordinate I sent to the Hongyuan material factory. It should have been killed by you, right?" Zhang Yi did not reply directly. Instead, he asked, "The students who were taken from Sujiazhen village yesterday, did you do it?" Neither side answered the other's question directly, but the tension was evident. This wave of operations obviously angered Xiao Honglian. She shouted, "Zhang Yi, how dare you kill my subordinates? In all of Amami City, no one dares to oppose me. Looks like you're tired of living." Zhang Yi smiled disdainfully. "I'm really familiar with this threat. Seems like the last person to talk to me like that turned to ashes. You may have heard his name, Chen Xinian." Although Zhang Yi's words were somewhat threatening, Xiao Honglian was not scared. "Do you see me as a 3-year-old child? The fall of Xishan base was directly related to Nike missiles. You are just a small force. Where would you get a rocket from? I'm not an idiot. Do you think you understand? Then why don't you think about it carefully? Did the missile at Xishan base come out of thin air?" Xiao Honglian's tone remained consistent. "You are just a supervisor in a small warehouse. How could you have enough energy to call missiles? If you say it, go out and see if anyone will believe it." At this moment, Zhang Yi was too lazy to continue the nonsense. "Don't bother to test it anymore. Did you think I would tell you? I hope you see reality. Don't mess with me. Better get away from me. Since I can kill your first batch of people, I can kill the second batch and take down your lair. It just depends on my mood." He glanced at Liang Wei, who was anxious. "You'd better send back the students you took away. Don't blame me for not warning you. I have the ability to destroy your base." Upon hearing this, Xiao Honglian was completely furious. She was still one of the major powers in Amami City, the leader of one of the largest organizations. No one had ever threatened her so arrogantly. "If you are really that good, the whole of Tianhai City would long be your territory. You don't have to be crazy with me. Believe it or not, I'll kill them all right now and send their bodies back to you. I advise you not to do such a stupid thing. Those students mean nothing to me. I just can't bear to see them homeless." Xiao Honglian smiled indifferently. "Why should I listen to you? You seem a little nervous about the lives of those students. Maybe I guessed right." Seeing the situation, Zhang Yi immediately pretended to be embarrassed. He just wanted Liang Yue to watch and be convinced that he was torn, all to help save those students. Then Zhang Yi sighed. "Talk about this. How on earth are you going to let those students go?" At this moment, Xiao Honglian's eyes became brighter and brighter. She was certain that she had grasped Zhang Yi's weakness. She decided to take this as an invitation to get some benefits from Zhang Yi, but she knew she had to grasp this opportunity carefully, similar to letting Zhang Yi live a long life. It doesn't make any sense. Because this is not intended to be a direct declaration of war, she chose to test Zhang Yi's bottom line first. Then she heard Xiao Honglian say, "Zhang Yi, you killed my cousin and my subordinates. Now your students are in my hands again. If you want someone, just exchange the supplies in your hand. I hope you don't try to deceive me. The supplies from the South China warehouse, we all know they're in your hands. I don't want much, just give me half of it. After that, we'll write it off. From now on, we will be good allies." After listening to it, Zhang Yi rejected her without thinking. Even if it was acting for Liang Yue, it was impossible for him to agree to such an unreasonable request. After all, this problem in Zhang Zhang Yi's opinion, was just to test his own strength. If he agreed to her request, then the sanctuary was bound to come under intense attack. Handing over even half of the supplies was an extremely stupid thing to do. At that time, half of the remaining supplies would also be robbed. But at this moment, Xiao Honglian expressed her toughness. If you don't agree to my request, the only path that greets you is war. However, Zhang Yi smiled carelessly. Are you saying that you are stronger than Zishan base? Xiao Honglian sneered. Don't pretend in front of me. Your battle with Zishan base must have really hurt you. And as far as I know, the people you killed were not just from our Yang Sheng base. Aren't you afraid that I will ally with another base? Chao Yu base will attack you together. I'd like to see how you fight the alliance between our two bases. Zhang Yi laughed. That's what you think. It seems that you really don't know anything about my strength. I kindly remind you, if you plan to come and die, I'd be happy to do it for you. You will definitely pay for your arrogance. Zhang Yi then continued to act as a professional actor. I still hope we will let go of old resentments. Fighting and killing is not good for either of us, so you'd better send those students back to me. The more Zhang Yi said that, the more suspicious Xiao Honglian became. She also gave Zhang Yi an ultimatum. Unless you accept my terms, it's off the table. At this moment, Zhang Yi pretended to be angry and said to Xiao Honglian, don't go too far. Those students are innocent. If you were a woman, you would fight me. Although he said so, in his heart he was thinking, get rid of those students quickly. Do you know how tired I am from acting? Don't give me face, just kill them. But at this time, Xiao Honglian hung up the phone. You could tell by the tone of her voice at the end that she was going to torture those students. Seeing the scene, Zhang Yi pretended to be angry and said, these people really deserve to die. They really want to kill those innocent students. Subsequently, Zhang Yi said that this could no longer continue. He was about to set off for Yangsheng base to rescue people. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the house was dumbfounded. He then tried to emphasize, this time is different from before. The right time, place, and people are not on our side. And this has nothing to do with you, so don't go there. Everybody heard Zhang Yi say that. Only a few people who knew Zhang Yi better felt a little weird, but Zhang Yi made a decision to go to Sheng base. That was like suicide. Of course, they had to stop him. So a group of people rushed over to stop Zhang Yi, especially Zhang Yi's two beautiful women. They came to him immediately and hugged him tightly. Please don't go. Do you want us to be widows? They pleaded. At this moment, Shu Chunlei silently said, Boss, you acted very well. It won't end well if it goes on like this. After that, Zhang Yi continued acting. He sighed silently. It's all my fault. I wasn't paying attention to the students and let them be kidnapped. Damn, I once promised Liang Yue that I would always help her protect her students. I really underestimated these people. This scene moved Liang Yue. She specially walked to Zhang Yi's side. Do not be impulsive. It's not your fault. I can only blame myself for not protecting them well. Watching you all work so hard to help me, I'm really happy. But I really don't want to drag you all down. You've done your best. After saying that, Liang Yue turned around and walked upstairs. Zhang Yi asked Liang Yue loudly from behind, what do you want to do? Liang Yue smiled silently. Don't worry about me. I want to find a home for my own soul. Seeing this, Zhou Qier couldn't help but mutter to Zhang Yi, she doesn't want to save people by herself, does she? It turned out that just after Liang Yue left, Zhang Yi touched his chin. Didn't I just impress her? Shu Chunlei came to comfort him. Boss, you did a really good job, but it just looks so fake. Hearing Shu Chunlei complain, Zhang Yi felt heartbroken. I once received an award from a kindergarten third prize in the performance competition. Shu Chunlei sighed. The point is that the question coming out of your mouth makes us feel magical. Zhang Yi looked around and saw everyone nodding silently. Zhang Yi was speechless. It seems my acting talent is so high, but at least I expressed my support for her. That's all I can do. Uncle Vu shook his head. In fact, she can't blame us for this. Except for the promise of herself, who else has anything to do with those students? Besides, in my opinion, those students are not worth saving at all. It's been so long since the end of the world came, and they can't learn to fend for themselves. Such people will only be trouble in the end. Seeing this, Zhang Yi said, let's stop this here as long as you all know, but we must be ready for war. Don't be too nervous. Our defense measures were ready a few days ago. At this time, Lu Kuran looked in the direction Liang Yue had left, with some concern. Then she asked, Boss, don't we need to take care of Miss Liang? Zhang Yi thought about it, and decided to let Yang Xinxin and Lu Kuran persuade her. He was also afraid that Liang Yue would do something stupid. If so, what he did was meaningless. On the other side, Liang Yue returned to her room. She had been wiping her side knife, which she captured at Zishan base. It was perfect for farmers. Just as she was in a trance, Yang Xinxin and Lu Karen opened the door and walked in. Teacher Liang, are you all right? We were worried about you and came to have a look, Yang Xinxin said. Seeing her own student, Liang Yue revealed a happy smile, then took a deep breath. I'm fine. I just suddenly figured it out. I know what I should do. Yang Xinxin looked at Liang Yue. Do you want to go fight alone to rescue those students? The other side is a large organization. You can't save them by going there alone. You can only die in vain. Liang Yue understood this truth. She looked up at the sky. But anyway, I can't ignore the lives of my students. Lu Karen, angry and concerned, hurriedly said, Teacher Liang, don't worry. Didn't my boss say that he will help you solve the problem? Hearing this, she smiled gently. Don't think the teacher is stupid. Zhang Yi has helped me too much. I am very grateful to him, but I know he wouldn't risk anything for those students. Although I know what he said is false, I'm still glad he's willing to do it. At least it lets me see that he cares about me. At this time, Lu Karan's expression was a little awkward. Sure enough, Zhang Yi's acting did not deceive Liang Yue. However, Yang Xinshin's eyes suddenly flashed with light. She lowered her head and said in a low voice, It's not like that. If Teacher Liang leaves, maybe Yang Xinshin won't live long. As soon as the sentence came out, Liang Yue didn't seem to understand. What do you mean by that? Make it clear to me. If anyone dares to bully you, I will never forgive them lightly. Teacher Liang, you misunderstood. No one bullies Yang Xinshin, but my boss told me to keep you as much as possible because you are very important to him. So if I can't handle this little thing, even if my boss doesn't say anything, I will have no face to stay in the shelter in the future. If you insist on leaving, just take Yang Xinshin with you. In this way, even after you die, we'll follow you right away. You won't have to worry about it anymore. At this moment, Liang Wei's mind was confused due to the huge amount of information. She didn't know what to do, but she just said she would fight for her heart. Now you can't take back what you said. However, Yang Xinshin's next words were textbook level. She said with a pitiful look, You could die for them. Why can't you live for me and Lu Karen? Teacher Liang, we need you. Liang Yue's heart trembled even more. But I can't just watch other people die. Hearing this, Yang Xinshin said with tears in her eyes, The reason why they are alive now is all thanks to you. If you die, we really have no time to negotiate with Yang Sheng base. Therefore, teacher, you must put the overall situation first. After much persuasion from the two students, Liang Yue temporarily gave up on her desperate plan to go to Yang Sheng base. After seeing that Liang Yue was stabilized, Lu Karen pushed Yang Xinshin out of her room. After going out, all the expressions on Yang Xinshin's face disappeared instantly, and she was back to the calm girl. However, Lu Karen gossiped in Yang Xinshin's ear. Ask the boss, does he really like our teacher Liang? Yang Xinshin's mouth raised a smile. Fake, I just lied to her. Don't you know our teacher Liang yet? Only by disrupting her inner thoughts do we have a chance to convince her to stay. Lu Karen's eyes widened. Good guy. So you are playing tricks with teacher Liang. You almost had me fooled, Yang Xinshin said disapprovingly. I'm doing all this for her own good. This stupid woman is going to die if we don't say a word. It's so annoying. She paused for a moment, then said meaningfully, If Liang Yue could stay, it's definitely good for both of us because my boss will not raise idlers. As soon as this sentence came out, Lu Karen immediately felt cold all over because she remembered the first time the two met Zhang Yi. At that time, there was no warmth in his eyes.